President Trump threatened invoking the Insurrection Act today in Truth Social. I'm wondering what his tipping point is. Like, what would it take for him to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Look, that's only a question, frankly, Reagan, the president can answer. But the Insurrection Act is a tool at the president's disposal. As you know, it has been used sparingly, but it has been used by previous presidents in American history. And I think the president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers, who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations.
Hey everyone, Adam is here. What you are about to see is the moment the con became a confession. The grift laid bare. Donald Trump hasn't stood at a podium and said, "I tricked you." He's smarter than that. But through his actions, his emails, and the cold, hard trail of millions of dollars, he has admitted everything. This is the story of a financial betrayal so vast, it redefines political cynicism.
Basically held their state and local law enforcement hostage and told them, you cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement. Why? They cooperated under the Biden administration. It's because these Democrats are deranged in their hatred for President Trump, and they are holding their state and local law enforcement hostage as a result. And these Democrat mayors and governors are doing this over what? Over the lawful and legitimate law enforcement operations to remove violent criminals from the streets of Minnesota, from the streets of California, from the streets of New York, and from the streets of every state across this country.
We are talking about a systematic, multi-level scheme where the loyalty of millions has been converted into a private slush fund, where retirees on Social Security have unknowingly had their bank accounts drafted week after week to pay for a billionaire's legal defense, where the promise of saving America was a smokescreen for saving Donald Trump's own skin.
Now on to reports of apparently rampant grift inside the Trump White House, touching on everything from tech to foreign policy. Among the new revelations, the New York Times reporting that tech billionaire David Sacks, the administration's so-called AI czar, is setting policies that could potentially benefit him personally. According to a Times analysis of his financial disclosures, Sacks has, quote, 708 tech investments, including at least 449 stakes in companies with ties to artificial intelligence that could be aided directly or indirectly by his policies.
And now, the mechanisms of this scam are no longer hidden in fine print. They are exposed, documented, and bleeding refunds. The dam of denial is breaking. The backlash is here. And Trump, in his own twisted way, is admitting it by doubling down. This isn't just hardball politics. This is a financial extraction operation targeting the most vulnerable believers in the MAGA movement. And the receipts don't lie. Let's pull back the curtain. The entire operation hinges on one powerful, poisonous idea: manufactured desperation. The fundraising emails are masterpieces of psychological manipulation. I'm alone in the dark. They're coming for your tariff checks. This is your final notice to save America. The language is apocalyptic, personal, and urgent. It's designed to trigger fear and loyalty, bypassing logic and triggering an impulse to protect their leader. And it works. Millions of dollars pour in, $5, $10, $20 at a time from people who can least afford it. A retired veteran on a fixed pension. A single mother working 2 jobs. They scrape together what they can, believing they are soldiers in a political war, funding the fight of their lives. But where does the money actually go? Follow the trail, and the betrayal is breathtaking. According to analyses from watchdog groups like the Brennan Center and Campaign Legal Center, a staggering portion, over $100 million, has been funneled directly to Trump's personal legal bills. Let that sink in. Money sent by a waitress in Ohio, a trucker in Texas, a grandparent in Florida, is now paying the attorneys defending Donald Trump against 91 felony charges, civil fraud, and defamation lawsuits. The Save America PAC hasn't been saving America, it's been saving Trump from accountability. Donors believed they were funding a movement. They were funding a legal defense fund for a man accused of crimes. But the scam runs even deeper than that. Rewind to the 2020 campaign. An investigation by the New York Times uncovered the first layer of the trick, the dark pattern donation. On the WinRed platform, Trump's team designed donation forms with a sinister sleight of hand. Imagine you want to give $20 one time. You fill in the box, enter your card details, and hit Donate. Unbeknownst to you, buried in microscopic text, a box was pre-checked that enrolled you in a weekly recurring donation. That one-time $20 gift just became a $20 weekly charge, bleeding your account dry in perpetuity. But they weren't done. Another pre-checked box, equally hidden, would double your impact, automatically doubling the amount. So now, you're not giving $20 once. You're signed up to give $40 every week. You thought you were chipping in. You just signed up for a $2,080 annual subscription you never wanted. The result? A firestorm of fraud. Banks and credit card companies were inundated with panicked calls from Trump's own supporters reporting unauthorized charges. The Trump campaign's refund rate exploded, dwarfing that of any other candidate. They had to return millions, not because of generosity, but because they were caught. When donors complained, the response was a shrug. You should have read the fine print. This is the hallmark of a scam. Hide the truth, take the money, and blame the victim when they notice. Now, fast forward to the present. The tactics have evolved, but the core grift remains. Enter the tariff rebate racket. In recent fundraising blasts, Trump has made a jaw-dropping implication. Your donation is directly tied to receiving a government check. He frames it as a threat. Don't let the Democrats steal your tariff rebate. The message is clear. Send me money, or you won't get your benefits. This is a protection racket masquerading as politics. It preys on financial anxiety and implies a pay-to-play scheme that is blatantly illegal. These rebate checks are a hypothetical policy, requiring congressional action. Trump cannot dispense them as rewards for loyalty, but he sells the lie because it works. And where does this river of small dollars cash flow? Into a Byzantine network of Trump-controlled entities, PACs, super PACs, joint fundraising committees, where money sloshes around in a shell game. Save America transfers tens of millions to the MAGA Inc. super PAC. Funds get spent at Trump properties, funneling money back into his pocket, on consulting fees for loyalists, and on the family payroll. The watchdog group Campaign Legal Center has filed complaints detailing these opaque maneuvers, arguing they blur legal lines into a morass of self-dealing. Meanwhile, the emotional shakedown continues. The emails grow more desperate, more unhinged. "I'm all alone," blasts one with a somber photo. It's a performance of vulnerability designed to open wallets. It's not a call to arms, it's a digital panhandling scheme targeting the emotionally invested. So, where is the admission? Trump isn't whispering it in a courtroom. He's screaming it through his blatancy. Admission number 1, the refund avalanche. The millions in forced refunds are a de facto confession. A healthy, transparent fundraising operation doesn't generate a historic wave of fraud complaints from its own donors. That only happens when you've tricked them. Admission number 2, the legal bill laundering. By openly routing 100 mailers in donor cash to his lawyers, Trump is admitting the true purpose of the funds. He's telling you what the money is for, assuming his base either won't care or is too loyal to question it. The scam is happening in plain sight. Admission number 3, the benefit for cash implication. The tariff check emails are an admission of his view of governance. Loyalty, financial, begets rewards. Government action. It's a mob boss logic he feels no need to hide. Admission number 4, the relentless predatory volume. The non-stop fear-drenched email barrage admits that his supporters are not comrades in arms, but an inexhaustible resource to be mined. It treats them not as citizens, but as marks. And now, all hell is breaking loose. The backlash is no longer contained to bank fraud departments. It's bubbling up within the movement itself. Stories are spreading on conservative forums and even on sympathetic talk radio. Why was I charged 3 times? I can't get these donations to stop. The trusted bond is fracturing under the weight of financial strain. Watchdog complaints are piling up. Media investigations are connecting the dots. And for the first time, a narrative is breaking through to the mainstream that is impossible to spin. Donald Trump is financially exploiting his most loyal supporters. Let's dissect the devastating implications. 1. The target is the most vulnerable. This isn't about courting wealthy donors. The entire engine is fueled by the small, often sacrificial gifts of the working class and elderly. Data shows disproportionate giving from retirees and lower-income zip codes. These are people for whom a $40 surprise weekly charge is a crisis. Trump isn't just taking their money, he's jeopardizing their rent, their medications, their groceries. 2. It's a betrayal of trust that defines a cult. The genius of the con is its immunity to exposure. When a supporter is charged hundreds of dollars they didn't authorize, the cognitive dissonance is profound. To admit they were scammed is to admit their faith was misplaced. For many, it's easier to make excuses, to blame a glitch, or to dismiss it as fake news than to face the heartbreaking truth. The scam is protected by the very devotion it exploits. 3. It reveals the true priority: self-preservation, not revolution. The diversion of funds to legal bills is the ultimate tell. When the choice is between funding grassroots political power or paying lawyers to keep Trump out of prison, the choice is made instantly. The movement is a vehicle for his personal survival. MAGA is not the end goal, it is the fuel. 4. The legal gray zone is his playground. He operates in the murky swamp of campaign finance law, where loopholes are canyons. Using PAC money for legal expenses, often permissible. Aggressive fundraising tactics, rarely prosecuted. This allows him to skate to the very edge of legality, shielded by a broken enforcement system and a sycophantic party apparatus that won't hold him accountable. 5. The everyone does it. Defense is a smokescreen. Yes, all campaigns fundraise aggressively, but scale and intent matter. No other major campaign in modern history has generated such a tidal wave of fraud complaints and refunds. No other candidate has so transparently converted political donations into a personal legal defense piggy bank on this scale. This isn't politics as usual, this is predation as policy. So, what happens when the marks realize the game? For the hardened base, likely nothing. The sunk cost fallacy is a powerful drug. But at the margins, among the weary, the financially bled dry, the independently minded, the spell is breaking. The scandal isn't just that he's taking their money, it's what he's admitting by doing it so brazenly. He's admitting he sees them as ATMs. He's admitting their movement is his liability fund. He's admitting their faith is a weakness to be monetized. The explosion isn't just in the headlines or on bank statements. It's in the quiet moment when a lifelong supporter looks at their depleted checking account, sees another Trump email begging for more, and feels a flicker of doubt. That doubt is kryptonite to a con built on unwavering belief. The house of cards is built on loyalty, but loyalty purchased through deception has an expiration date. Trump is playing a dangerous game, seeing how much he can take, how blatantly he can admit the grift through his actions, before the well of belief runs dry. The admission is out there. It's in the fine print. It's in the FEC filings. It's in the drained accounts of his most devoted followers. All hell isn't just breaking loose in the media. It's breaking loose in the hearts and wallets of the people who trusted him most. And once that trust is spent, it can never be refunded.